Why does it take so many producers to make one beat these days? I hear people ask that question a lot. Here's an example. So the newest Drake single, What Did I Miss, has 9 producers on it. 9 producers. You can count them. And another conversation that comes up all the time is about loop makers, right? Why, when I get a loop from somebody, are there 5 different names on it? And I experience that because a lot of loop makers send me loops. I'm even part of a sample making team that consists of 4 different producers. So when we send a loop out, there are 4 different producers on that loop. But isn't that a problem? Isn't that a big problem? A bunch of producers on the same beat, a bunch of musicians on the same loop. I mean, the bigger problem to me is stuff like this. This is somebody selling loops online, and these loop packs are not original. And it happens a lot. It happens more than you would think. And then I look at the terms, he wants 50-50 on everything, which is, look, I think it's fair. At the same time, I just realized one of his samples was labeled at 229 beats per minute. I don't know you, and you're sending me samples. You're not getting placements yourself. You're expecting me to do all, the work. Maybe the samples are amazing though, right? Maybe these are amazing samples. I don't know. So let's listen to one. I can't play the full sample because I will get this entire video demonetized. Oh my God. Okay. Let's take a moment to laugh at that. Hopefully that's not happening that much anymore. I don't know. I blocked all the people that sent me uncleared samples and claimed them as original loops that I should use. But back to the initial question, because a lot of producers don't want to mess with a loop with multiple people on it. And a lot of fans are now, and producers are now starting to turn on these producers that make beats with 5, 6, 7, even 9 of their friends. And as you may have expected, I have an opinion on that. And the question is, be honest, do you skip samples when there's too many names on it? And this is just kind of a popular topic to meme in the producer community. And apparently there's a screenshot. I don't know whose kid it was, but I'm familiar with this name. So there's a producer that didn't want to touch a sample pack because he said there are potentially 4 producers on a single loop. And that's always been a concern. My concern has more so been because ever since the beginning, it was like someone's going to correct me in the comments and say, Peyton, you're completely wrong, which is fine. Just tell me what the real facts are. From my perspective, it was like the early wave of sample makers, like the first producer that really went all the way in as a sample maker was Frank Dukes, but someone in the comments could correct me and say, no, that it wasn't him. You don't know what you're talking about. But like the Frank Dukes, Q Beats, G Coupe era, where it just wasn't this widespread thing. And they won super, super big because they were the first ones doing it and they did it really well. They had great musicianship. They were producers themselves. And so they knew what the producer community wanted in terms of their compositions. And then it just exploded because producers were like, oh, I can make loops and get placements that way if I just send them out to a bunch of producers. Cool. Well, the whole purpose of that was to eliminate the hassles of sample clearance. We want to sample stuff. So you make stuff that sounds like what we would sample. And guess what? We don't have to clear it with you. We just split the underlying composition equity with you. Really easy. The problem was, for me, I was getting people sending me stuff that wasn't theirs. So not only did it defeat the purpose of loop making, but it created even bigger problems because if I sample, I know I sampled and I just have to report it and it gets cleared. Yeah, that might take some money out of my my recoupment account, so it's going to take longer for me to get another check. It might eliminate my publishing and writer's share by quite a bit, if not by 100%. I guess if I sample sting, but a lot of these, this is why I hate sample clearance. There's so much greed involved. They often leave the producer with nothing. But that's on me, and I'm aware of that. When the second I drag a sample into my DAW or record a sample onto my drum machine or whatever I'm using, I know the risk. But a lot of people will send me stuff and say, this is mine, make a beat out of it, split it with me. And I've posted stuff because it's hilarious. It'll be a Michael Jackson sample. It'll be a Diana Ross sample. It'll be a Kylie Minogue sample. it'll be something. I found one early on. I was like, wow, this is where we're going. I didn't realize how bad it was about to get. There was one that was just a pitched down Illmind sample in its full
Is that
form.
ignorance, or do you think that people are just trying to skate by?
I think people are trying to escape. I mean, I think it's ignorance in the sense that like they think everything's all good. Like, oh, I'll just cut up, don't stop till you get enough, and I'll still get because if you don't know how that works, then you don't know how it works. And that's the beauty and the ugly side of the music business. Anyone can be in it. There's no barrier to entry. Anyone can steal an email address. Anyone can scrape an email. And next thing you know, you're in my inbox or you're in a much bigger producer's inbox sending them this stuff. And here we are. But if we're taking all of that out of the conversation and we're just talking about producers who and composers who create original music, I think, didn't we cover this story where it was, oh God, was it was a song called Pink Dreads. Who was that by? It was these two super famous streamers. It was
DDG and who else was? It was a producer, yeah, that was trying to charge him something, and it was some backlash from that, or he didn't want to pay the producer.
Yeah, and I think it was a matter of maybe one of them was a loop maker, maybe one of them did the drums. I don't know, but you hear about this stuff. We've covered stories where there are multiple composers on a single loop, and one of them gets greedy and is like, "Nah, I don't want to. I want a $15,000 advance or something." I think they talked about that on a Future album too. Yeah, so we've covered stories like that. And then it either kills the whole deal, or you know how the labels are. They just drop the song and deal with it later. And like, okay, we'll negotiate our way through it. But then it becomes a public spectacle and there's a whole news story about it. But I would always stay away from that because of that fear. And I feel like, to me, if you're working with people, if I'm working with someone to create a loop with someone, with like a group, I think the expectation should just be even splits. Like if I'm in the room with you, you're playing guitar, I'm playing keys, someone else is adding the sound design elements and mixing everything. Like, let's just split it 3 ways. And so that means if we send that to a bigger producer, they turn it into a beat that gets placed. They're going to ask us, what do we want? And we say, okay, we want out of your 50%, we want 50% of that. And then we're going to split that 3 ways among ourselves. So it's going to be easy. None of us are going to fight over that. But you have to know people. Didn't we have that convo, Aaron, where it was like, if you don't know someone.
Yeah, that can't be the expectation.
Yeah, so you have to know. So, but a lot of musicians do know each other. And so you know who is legitimate and who's not. The problem is not everyone has access to them. But you can't work with everyone because you don't know everybody. So I think familiarity and reputation are going to matter. They've always mattered in the music business, but they're going to matter more moving forward with so much quote unquote saturation. Everyone's doing it. So how do you vet the people that could potentially cause problems from the people who would not cause problems because they have a good reputation? Yeah. And so it always,
you never know, because I know so many problematic producers who are vets. So you can't even be like, oh, if they've been in the industry for a long time, it should be straight. And I know a lot of head ass new producers too. So it's like, you really it's a tough situation.
I feel like the problematic producers that are vets they'll have a reputation of doing something, but they'll do it within, the music business enables people to steal. But the so-called head ass start out producers that are just coming in, they're not smart with it. They're just there to cause problems and throw tantrums. It's different. There's a different kind of energy from a bigger industry vet lying to someone and saying, oh yeah, look, man, I can't give you publishing on this record because you got to pay your dues. They'll use things like that, or like, but trust me, I got you. That one of the biggest A&Rs on a major label used that line with me. They called me up. I'm not even going to say their gender. That'll give it away. Called me up and said, if you do this for me, trust me, I got you. What does that mean? And spoiler alert, they didn't. And I knew it. And thankfully, I was able to provide wisdom to that whole team to let them know what was going on. And we worked it out and to our advantage. But otherwise, that's what they use. With these other, the problem with like the newcomers, they have no idea what to expect. And so if you're like, hey, we got this track placed, there are 3 of us on the record, each of us get 10%. What, 10%? Fuck that. I'm not like, bro, this is 10% of a mate. This is actually good. All right, this is good. You spent an hour working on this, and now you have 10% of something, and that's going to bring you thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars over the next 2 years. But you don't understand that because this is your first time. And then you got people around you saying, oh, you're on the Future album, you should be rich right now. That's not how it works. So then you get you let them get into your head. You get your aunt or an uncle who's a real estate lawyer or who's an accountant or whatever. People find all types of people around them and like, can you review this contract? And they look at this is bullshit. This is a terrible contract. And now they're kicking up dust and stomping their feet and being difficult and potentially messing up a situation for every other producer that they worked with. That's a fear, obviously. But if the concern is just that there are 4 producers on a loop, who gives a fuck? I don't know. And I'll explain why. Because if it's an even split among 4 producers, cool. Who cares? Just write it in. It might be a pain in the ass, but I'm going to show you what a pain in the ass is. So, do you know that new G Herbo song, Went Legit?
Nope.
It's a popular song. And it was produced by Southside and I want to say like 3 other producers. So 4 producers total. But it contained a sample of this song, Wildflower, right? By Hank Crawford. And this is from 1973. Okay, cool. You just, you clear it with Hank Crawford. No, you have to clear it with his label. You have to clear it with his publisher. You have to clear it with him. But look at all the people involved on this album. Not just Hank, but Bob James, legend. Bob Cranshaw, Joe Beck, Idris Muhammad. Like, come on, these are big names. Very big names in the jazz world. And look at all these people that are involved.
I feel like Joe Beck alone is going to be a monster just to get the clearance from.
But the thing is, they got it cleared. It's out. So if they can do that, and there are potentially 30 people you have to, not even counting the publishing and label entities that you have to clear that with, 4 producers on a loop who are acting right, and the majority of them just act right. I don't think that should spook producers to the extent that it does. Because people are like, oh, if I see more than 2 names on a loop, I'm not touching. I'm like, if I see more than 2 names on a loop, I'm just going to reach out and say, hey, even splits? Yes, no. If so, cool, it's in writing. I'm going to wash my hands of this situation because ultimately, in all likelihood, things are going to be fine. And if they're not fine, oh, well, it's on the label. They're going to drop the song anyway. I don't care.
I'm saying, I feel like it only is okay if it's a label thing then, though. Because after that, trying to get stuff cleared if you're not making a track for a label, tough.
Oh, for sample clearance? Or just people with
sample
ego?
Clearance. That's what I'm saying. Like, I get why somebody would say 4 producers are nothing more than. I get what you're saying because it's like, if we just move ourselves out of the way and get a placement, cool. I think sample clearance begs a different question because it's so tedious to get a sample cleared. Like you know what I'm saying? Like a classic sample or a big song. But I think multiple producers on a loop, I'm with you. You just got to reach out and have the conversation. But I see why a lot of people wouldn't, especially if they're not making a ton of money in the industry, because they just don't want to deal with the headache, the work that it takes to make sure everything is set up.
And I mean, I think that's what it comes down to. Do you know the people? Do you trust them? And then also, I mean, what's the nature of the deal with the song? So it's not, I don't know. I think we worry a lot over things that haven't happened yet in the music business. And we don't worry about the things that are happening, like the UMG acquisition. Like, I don't, Look, man, there are bigger problems than 3, 4 producers on a loop. Or the new thing is, oh, why are there 5 producers on a beat? Because it's fun. I feel bad for the producers who sit around and complain about looking at production credits and be like, why are there 5 of them on there? You've never been in the room with 5 other producers making a beat together. It's fun. I feel bad for you. And oftentimes when you're in the room with 5 other people, and you're working off of one another's synergy, and everyone has their strengths, we're combining our strengths, and it's like a big superhero team, and the final result is something that none of us could have created on our own. Yeah, cool, great, it's amazing. And even if the beat, you listen to the final product of the beat that's created by 5 different producers, you're like, man, it took 5 people to make that. You have no idea what we were doing in that room. It could have just been passing a laptop around and being like, okay, add a snare. Why? Because it's fun. There's no real rhyme or reason. It doesn't always have to be 100% business, especially during the creation process. People just have fun. Who cares?